My daughter's stomach shouldn't have looked like that. The doctor's face changed first, his expression flickering between confusion and disbelief. The gel on the ultrasound probe made a sound when he lifted it, a wet separation that broke the air. I remember staring at the screen, frozen, watching the static gray shapes pulse like ghosts under her skin. He didn't say anything for a long time. Then, quietly, almost apologetically, "Sir, this looks really strange." Strange. That word clung to me like a stain. My daughter squeezed my hand. "Daddy, it hurts." Something inside me split. Fear, instinct, dread, all crashing at once. But there was something else in the doctor's eyes. Not confusion, recognition. He asked to run more tests. Alone. No mothers in the room, he said. I didn't understand until I saw the nurse's face. Her pity barely disguised. Minutes later, the doctor pulled me aside and whispered something that made my blood turn to ice. I left the clinic before I realized I was moving. The world blurred past, the waiting room, the smell of antiseptic, the sound of my daughter humming softly behind me. By the time I reached the car, I was already dialing the police. The detective's voice was calm, practiced, like he'd said it 1,000 times before. "We'll need to speak with both parents, sir, immediately." Both parents. As if I wasn't already doubting what that word even meant. At home, I watched her, my wife, pouring juice into a glass, humming that song she always did when she pretended things were fine. Her fingers trembled slightly, though. She didn't look at me when she asked, "How did the appointment go?" Something in me wanted to scream, but I just said, "We'll need to go back tomorrow." Her eyes flickered for a second. Too fast. A trained lie. That night, I lay awake listening to the soft rhythm of her breathing beside me. Every exhale sounded rehearsed. Memories began rearranging themselves. Nights she worked late, phone calls that ended when I entered the room, a small locked drawer in her vanity. I'd never looked before. I did now. Inside were photos, a child's drawing, and a folded letter, creased, worn, dated years ago. It started with, "You don't have to tell him yet." The next morning, I told her I had a work meeting. I didn't. I drove straight to the hospital, requested the scans, the test reports, anything with her name on it. When the nurse hesitated, I smiled, softly, politely, the way calm men do when they're hiding storms. At home, I found my daughter asleep on the couch. Her small hand rested over her stomach, the same spot where the doctor had paused. Later that night, while my wife showered, I took a strand of my daughter's hair, sealed it in a plastic bag, and sent it for a DNA test. Quiet, clinical, necessary. I kept my routine normal. Breakfasts, bedtime stories, weekend smiles. I even kissed my wife goodnight like I used to. Inside, I was counting days. When the results arrived, I didn't open them right away. I poured a drink first. Watched the ice melt. Watched my reflection disappear in the glass. Then I read the line that ended everything. Probability of paternity, 0.00%. I didn't speak for a long time. Just sat there, listening to the faint hum of the refrigerator. That evening, she came home humming again. I greeted her like always, poured her a glass of wine, and handed her the envelope. She smiled, confused, then froze when she saw the seal. "What's this?" "Open it." Her fingers shook. The color drained from her face before she reached the second page. She didn't cry immediately. That came later, after the silence stretched too long. I can explain," she whispered. "I know," I said. "You always can." She reached for me, but I stepped back. Her eyes darted between the papers, the wineglass, and me, as if trying to measure what I knew. The moment was quiet, almost tender. Then I said, softly, "He was your colleague, wasn't he?" Her breath caught. That was enough. I didn't yell, I didn't throw things. I simply slid a printed copy of the police report across the table, the one that detailed the ultrasound findings, the metallic object the doctors discovered embedded near our daughter's abdomen, the same kind of locket her colleague wore. Inside it, his initials. Her face collapsed in on itself. She sank into the chair, whispering his name. Not in guilt, in fear. I told her I'd already given the police her messages, the receipts, the hidden bank account transfers, that they were on their way. She looked up, trembling. You set me up." I smiled faintly. "No, you did that yourself. I just stopped pretending not to see." They took her the next morning. I watched from the porch as the car disappeared down the street. No words, no tears. Just the quiet sound of my daughter's laughter upstairs, innocent, unknowing. I made her breakfast, sat beside her as she ate. She smiled and said her tummy didn't hurt anymore. For the first time in weeks, I believed her. I don't hate my wife. Hate is an emotion, and I'm done feeling. What remains is silence, clean, sharp. Sometimes I still hear her humming in my head. But now, when it comes, I turn it off, like a song that's already played its last note.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and comment. Subscribe now to Cheating Stories Insight World for more amazing stories.